Welcome to the Video Professor's Computer Learning Series on CD-ROM. This is the same great lesson that is found on our videotapes. This CD lesson window will always play on top of any application, so you can follow along step by step to learn the program. We have packed this CD with information, and sometimes move at a pace that is faster than you'll be able to follow along with. To help you with this, we have designed the CD to work just like a VCR. You can pause, rewind, or fast forward the CD to learn each part just by clicking the appropriate buttons. From the Table of Contents menu, you can select or review any part of this lesson instantly. For your convenience, a Video Professor icon has been added to your desktop. To view this or future lessons, simply put the CD in your drive and click on this icon to start that lesson. Now, to get started, simply click on the menu item you want to learn. For best results, we suggest you start at the first item and work your way through to the end.
To get online with Video Professor Online, you need to establish an account. Establishing an account is very simple, and remember, you get to try this service free for a whole month. This part of the lesson will show you the steps necessary to establish your account. But unlike our other lessons, you will not be able to follow along step by step with your computer as we guide you through the process. This is because this CD cannot be used when installing the components needed to get on the internet. Therefore, you will need to just watch how simple the steps are, then do it yourself. Before we start the setup process, if your modem uses another program, for instance a fax program, you should exit that. The modem must be available for VPOL to use during the installation. Also, you must close all opened applications for the install process, so make sure that is done. VPOL can be installed on systems running on either Windows 95 or Windows 98. If you are running on Windows 98, the VPOL installation is a simple process where all you need to do is enter in your personal information. The Windows 95 installation can take a few more steps as it needs to install the Internet Explorer program which is needed to access the Internet. If you have all the necessary programs, your computer will dial an 800 number and connect to Video Professor Online so you can enter your personal information to finish setting up your account. If not, you'll first need to install the Explorer program. It is already on the CD and I'll quickly go over the steps. The first screen you will see has two choices. One to install Internet Explorer and the other to view the information in Release Notes. Click on Install Explorer. We now see a Welcome to the Internet Explorer active setup wizard. It also states that Explorer will install itself over older versions of this program. We want the latest version, so click Next. A screen will open with the license agreement. These are the rules concerning the use of the Explorer software. After reading this information, choose I accept the agreement and click Next. This next window wants to know if you want the Windows Desktop update. This will add some neat features to your desktop. Click on the Yes option and click Next. The Destination Folder window shows which folder Internet Explorer will be copied into. Click Next to begin installation. The program starts its install process. This may take a few minutes. When it finishes this portion of installing, you are asked to disconnect from the Internet if connected and told the setup process will close all open programs. You should have done this already, so click OK. We now get the message, Configuring System, please wait. Again, this will take a few minutes, and when done, your computer will state its needs to be rebooted. Click OK. After the computer reboots, you are taken to the Welcome to Video Professor Online screen. You may want to write down the technical support number in case you experience problems. To continue, click Sign Up. Once you click the Sign Up button, the automatic dial-up window will open and begin dialing. If you never had a previous dial-up connection on your computer, you may first get a Windows dialog box telling you that you need some drivers installed on your computer. Be sure to have your Windows 95 CD-ROM because you will need this to install these drivers. If you need to do this, you may see some more messages about version conflict with files. Just click Yes to any of these messages. You'll be asked again to reboot your computer so these files can take effect. If you needed to set up the dial-up connection, you may also be asked to enter a name and password for Windows. After that, your computer will automatically dial an 800 number so you can finish setting up your Internet account. OK, Now everyone should be on the Congratulations, you are on the Internet screen. Click Next to continue. You may get a message that you are sending information on the Internet that can be seen by others. Since just about everything you do on the Internet has this possibility, click in the box to not show this warning again and click Yes to close the box. Once again, click Next on the Congratulations screen. The next screen wants your credit card information. Even though your first month is free, this information is needed to establish your account and have on record if you decide to keep the service. Enter the appropriate information. The drop-down arrows offer you point-and-click options. To move from box to box, use your Tab key or click in it with a mouse pointer. When finished, click Next. You are now prompted to enter your personal information. When done, click the Next button. The next screen has chosen a local number that will be used when you sign on to the Internet. If it is not local, click on one that is. If OK, click Next. The confirmation screen tells us what our email name will be and our email password. This is very important, so when you see your email name and password, be sure to write it down so you'll always know what it is. This screen also displays the personal information you entered and gives you the chance to go back and re-enter anything you may have entered wrong. We are done, so click Submit. Congratulations! You have successfully done everything needed to get on the Internet. Click Finish. Viewers, we now see our account name and password displayed. Yours will be different than ours. These are also different than your email name and password. Be sure to write yours down so you have a record of it. Click OK. We are ready to use our account, so click OK again. Viewers, due to the fact that all computers don't have the same programs and equipment installed, you probably will get some options we didn't see as we proceed through installation. They should offer you an explanation of what you need to do. As long as you click OK, Next, or Continue, you should get back to the screens we see and have no problems. If you experience problems, you can always call technical support. Now to get connected, double-click on the Internet Explorer icon. A dial-up connection window will open and your computer will dial into VPOL and once connected, display the VPOL home page. By the way, once you have completed your registration, this is how you always get online with the Video Professor online program.
Now let's get started. Welcome to my introductory lesson on Microsoft Works for Windows version 4.0. Microsoft Works is an integrated set of application tools that can help you manage many facets of your professional and personal life. Perhaps you are a team manager for your child's baseball or swim team. You can use the Works 4.0 word processor to create letters and announcements for team members. With the Works 4.0 database, you can create and manage team rosters and stats, plus keep track of equipment and uniform inventory. With the Works spreadsheet, you can also track a team's travel and tournament expenses. And it is so easy to customize. Imagine turning boring figures into interesting charts and graphs. You will with the charting tools available in the Works spreadsheet program. After taking care of the business end of being a Little League manager, you may want to play a bit. That's where the Works Draw program comes in. It allows you to create pictures and turn plain text into a team logo. In short, Microsoft Works allows you to quickly generate text, create databases, manage financial information, and add innovative graphics, all without moving outside of Works. Because Works runs within Windows, it is important that you understand that environment. You should know the difference between an application and document window and how to manipulate both. You should know how to pull down menu bars and select their options. You should also know how to work with dialog boxes. If you don't understand how to accomplish these actions, I strongly suggest you see my series of tapes on learning Windows 95 before starting this lesson. Before going any further, I'd like to introduce Suzanne, my student helper for this lesson. Simply follow along with her and you'll be using Works in no time. Later in this lesson, we'll save our work to disk. I suggest that you have an empty formatted diskette on hand to save your Video Professor results. In this lesson, we'll create a form letter. As we create this form, we'll learn how to enter, edit, and format text. We'll also learn how to insert and manipulate a clip art image within a document file. In addition, we'll use a Works feature called WordArt to create a company logo. Also, we'll build a Works database. Once that database is built, we'll merge its records with the form letter to create a mail merge. Let's begin. At this point, I'm going to assume you have your computer up and running with Windows 95. If you haven't, do so now to launch Works. Open the Start menu by clicking on the Start button. Once open, click on Programs. Within this menu, you may find Works 4.0 listed under the title Microsoft Applications or under Microsoft Works 4.0. When the submenu appears, click on the title that reads Microsoft Works 4.0. Once the program is active, a Works 4.0 application window will appear on screen, and within it, a box will appear with the title Works Task Launcher. The task wizards are programs which allow you to create a document quickly. Just answer a few questions the wizard asks, and presto, your new letterhead or resume is a reality. The Existing Documents tab displays files that have been recently created or edited within Works. It also gives us access to other files on your system. The Works Tool tab displays quick access buttons which allow you to select one of the 4 basic operations performed in Works. Suzanne, for the first part of this lesson, we want to create a new word processing document. So click on the word processor icon. Works has opened the word processor application screen complete with a blank document window. At the very top of the screen is the title bar bearing the words Microsoft Works. The document file name will also appear here later. To the left of the title is the standard control menu. Clicking on it accesses a drop-down menu that can be used to close or resize the Works application window. On the far right side of the title bar are the standard Windows sizing buttons. Viewers, click on the Maximize button if your application window doesn't cover the entire screen. The smaller window that you see within the application window is the document window. This window is just like a blank sheet of paper. In it, we can enter and edit text and other objects to create a document. To the right of the document window, we are given a Help window. We won't need its help in this lesson, so click on the Shrink Help button, which is in the lower left-hand corner of the window. Suzanne, with the Help window out of the way, let's maximize the document window. Viewers, if your document window is not already maximized, follow along with Suzanne and click on the Document Maximize Restore button. Now your application title bar will say Microsoft Works, Unsaved Document 1. In Works, as in all Windows programs, each application is a parent window, whereas the document is considered a child window. Each parent can have several child documents open at the same time, which is very handy for copying information between documents. Just below the title bar is the menu bar. The pull-down menus that appear on this bar allow us to select almost any option within this program. Let's use one of the menus to check which screen options are active. Pull down the View menu. A check mark next to an option indicates that this particular option is active. Just underneath the menu bar is the toolbar. Let's see what control the View menu has over this option. Suzanne, click on the Toolbar command. That tool no longer appears on screen. Now pull down the View menu again. Notice that the check mark has been removed. This tells us the tool is inactive. Click on the Toolbar command again to reactivate that option. Viewers, open the View menu again. Now click on the All Characters option. Viewers, we also want the Page Layout view active, so open the View menu again, then make sure that option is toggled on. As I stated earlier, beneath the menu bar is the standard toolbar. This bar has icons or buttons that, when clicked, give us quick access to the most commonly used commands and tools within Works. Below the toolbar is the ruler. The ruler shows us the width of a document according to the position of the insertion point within the document. It also allows us to set margin, indents, and tabs. The default measurement setting is in inches, but it can also be expressed in picas, centimeters, points, or millimeters. Pull down the Tools menu, Suzanne, and click on the Options command. Click on the General tab. In the Units box are 5 radio buttons. We want the units of measurement to be in inches for this lesson, so make sure that option is selected. To activate a particular option, all you have to do is click on the radio button next to that option or on the option itself. Also be sure the Enable Drop and Drag Editing box has been selected. Click on the Proofing Tools tab. Make sure American English is selected within the Spelling and Thesaurus boxes. Now click on the Editing tab. Be sure the Typing Replaces Selection, Use Smart Quotes, and Automatic Word Selection options are the only options toggled on. Now click on the View menu. Of the options that appear in the lower left-hand corner of the box, make sure that all but the Show Help at Startup and Show First Time Help options are toggled on. With those options deactivated, click on the Data tab. As the tab states, these options apply only to the Work spreadsheet and database programs. We're going to build a database in this lesson, so make sure you have the same settings as Suzanne does on her screen. Then click on OK to close the dialog box. The standard Windows scroll bars at the right and bottom of the window allow us to view other areas of a document that aren't currently in view. At the bottom of the application window, immediately above the status bar, and to the left of the bottom scroll bar, you see two boxes. The box on the far left displays which page we're on and how many pages are in our document. The other box allows us to adjust our document's zoom factor. In this box, a percentage number appears, probably 100%. To the right are plus and minus scroll buttons. Clicking on the plus button magnifies the text in the document window. This is useful if you are working with an extremely small font size such as 6 point. Clicking the minus button shrinks our view of the document. This is useful if you are working in a very large font size. Now reset the zoom box to 100%. At the very bottom of the application window is the status bar. On the left side of this bar, Works displays brief descriptions and helpful tips when options are selected from any one of the pull-down menus. Suzanne pulled down the File menu and arrow down through its choices. Viewers, notice that as you do this, the status bar gives us a short explanation of the highlighted command. Press your Escape key twice to close the menu. To the right, the status bar tells us if the num or caps lock keys are activated. It also indicates the page number of the document in our screen view. In this lesson, we are going to create a direct mail letter that will be sent to the parents of area school children. The first thing we'll do is set the letter's basic parameters. We'll start with setting the page formats.
Professor, I've heard the words format and formatting before. How do they apply to word processing?
Format is one of those words that appears in many areas of the computer world. You can format a diskette, choose between operating formats such as Macintosh or IBM. You can even save a file in a different format. However, when we use the word in the context of word processing, format or formatting is the name given to all the choices we can make to control the appearance of text on the printed page. Pull down the File menu, then click on the Page Setup command. The sample document above these tabs gives us a visual representation of the current page dimensions. Let's see how this works. Select the Margins tab if it isn't already selected. Margin commands determine how far text can be printed from each edge of the paper. Suzanne, click on the top increment arrow in the top margin entry box. As you do, watch the top margin in the sample page automatically adjust to show us how the new setting affects the document's layout. Now highlight the number in the bottom margin entry box, then type in a 2. Now press your Tab key. Once again, the sample page reformats to show the proposed change. Although the preview isn't precise, it does give us a nice overall view of the document's typing area. We can also change the location and size of a document's header or footer. We'll leave these settings as they are, so click on the Reset button. Now click on the tab for Source Size Orientation. In this tab, you can change the source of your paper feed, paper size, and page orientation for printing. Viewers, your options may differ from Suzanne's depending on the characteristics of your printer. Our settings show standard letter size paper of 8.5 by 11 inches in the portrait orientation. Suzanne, click on the Landscape button. The sample page reformats to reflect the change in orientation. Also notice the height and width settings changed. Click on the Portrait Radio button again to return our document to the default orientation. Now click on the tab for Other Options. This gives us control over footnotes and page numbers. We'll leave the default settings as they are, so click on the OK button to close the Page Setup dialog box. If you had made any changes in this dialog box, those changes are now in effect. Now that the page dimensions are set, let's look at the options that control font and font size. Viewers, look at the left side of the toolbar. There are two drop-down lists. Right now they display Times New Roman and 12 point. This is the default font and font size. Suzanne, pull down the font drop-down list. Now use the mini scroll bar to find the Arial font. Notice that the pull-down menu displays each font as it will appear on the printed page. You may have several Arial type faces listed. Click on the one that has two T's in front of it with nothing following the font name. Next, pull down the drop-down menu arrow for font size and select 14 as the font size. As you can see, Works provides you with different font styles and sizes. Any changes made here can be effective for a single text character or can extend to the entire document. With that done, let's check our text alignment. The toolbar buttons for alignment are located toward the right side of the toolbar. When we align text, it is called justification. We can use these buttons to justify text to the left, center, or the right. Left alignment or justification aligns text flush on a line's left margin or indent. The right edge of left aligned text is usually uneven. Center aligned text uses a center point on the ruler as its axis. The right and left edges normally appear uneven in this alignment. Right alignment aligns text flush on the right margin setting. Suzanne makes sure the left alignment icon is pressed in and highlighted. Finally, make sure that the icons for bold, italics, and underline are not active. The bold button has a big B on it. The italics button has a slanted I on it. And the button with the underlined U on it is the underline button. If any of these buttons are pressed in, click on it to deactivate it. Everyone should have the same settings, so let's type our letter to the soccer parents. Our direct mail letter will announce a rec center's new schedule of soccer leagues and the requirements the child must meet in order to join one of the leagues. We will first type and edit the body of the letter. Then we will add a bulleted list of eligibility requirements. Once we have finished editing the list and the body of text, we will use word art and clip art to add graphic objects to the letter. Let's begin. The flashing bar you see at the upper left of the document window is called the insertion point. When you start typing, text appears at this point. Suzanne, let's start our letter by typing the words, "Dear parent of a future soccer star." Follow that text with a comma. On second thought, that salutation is a little long. Let's shorten it to "Dear Parent." And as we do, we'll review a few of the word processor's editing tools. Everyone press your backspace key 3 times. Notice that as you do, the letters disappear. This is an easy way to correct mistakes that you've just made. However, if you've already typed in the entire document, a method called blocking will be more helpful. Suzanne, move your mouse pointer in front of the O in of. Now click your left mouse button and drag your mouse to the right to block the remaining text in this sentence. Once these letters are blocked, press your delete key. It is much faster to use the blocking method for deletion than backspacing when you have large chunks of text to remove. Now backspace once, then type a comma after parent. Now that our greeting is in place, press your enter key twice to move the insertion point down 2 lines. Notice as you do that 2 more backward P symbols appear on screen. These symbols are called paragraph markers. They indicate the end of a paragraph. They also store the formatting for the text and graphics in that paragraph. With that said, let's enter the body of our letter. Type the following 2 sentences. As we did last year, the Mountain View Recreation Center is again offering your child or children an opportunity to play soccer in a variety of leagues. Leagues are offered at both different age levels and skill levels. Notice that as you type, Works automatically wraps your text to the next line. This is called word wrap. You don't have to press the return key to make the text flow to the next line. The Works word processor does it automatically. The word year is a vague time reference. Let's make the letter a little more specific by replacing the word year with spring. Place the insertion marker on the word year and double-click the left mouse button. This method quickly blocks a single word. Now type in spring. This replaces the blocked text. While we are editing, let's get rid of the parentheses and the words or children. Position the insertion mark just before the parentheses that comes before the words or children. Now, while holding down the Shift key, press your right arrow key so everything up to the A in "and" is blocked. Once done, press your Delete key. There, that reads better. We don't need the E before the R in opportunity, so block that letter. Then press your Delete key. The last part of this sentence isn't needed, so block from the word "in" to the very end of this sentence. Once that text is blocked, press your Delete key. Now press your left arrow key and type a period. Suzanne, press your Control and N keys together to move the insertion point to the end of this sentence. Then press the space bar a couple of times to give us some room. When you finish, type in the following sentence. To enter your child in a soccer program, complete a registration form, which is available at the Recreation Office. Please type the sentence just as it appears on screen, including mistakes. When you finish, press the Enter key once. Then type in, to compete in the soccer leagues, your child must meet certain requirements as follows. Type a colon after the word follows. We'll come back in a moment to add the list of requirements, but first, we'll finish the body of the letter. Press your Enter key again. Then enter the following sentence. Please feel free to call 555-2222 if you have questions about the program. If you need extra time to enter this, pause or rewind the tape. Press your Enter key twice and type sincerely. Follow it with a comma. Press your Enter key 3 more times. Then type in the name Jenny Bryan. Press Enter once and type Recreation Director with a capital R and D. When you finish, press your Control and Home keys together to move the insertion point back to the top of the page. Now let's save this masterpiece to disk. Suzanne, click on the Save icon. It has a picture of a floppy disk on it. We haven't named this file yet, so we are given the Save As dialog box. It allows us to quickly give the file a name, select drives and folders, plus select different file formats. At the top of the dialog box is the Save In box. Click on the down arrow to the right of this box. This drop-down list displays various drives and storage areas on your system. We'll come back to this list in a moment. Click on the arrow again to close the drop-down list. To the right of the Save In box are a few standard Windows 95 Save As buttons. The first allows us to move up one level in the tree structure. The second creates a new folder within the selected drive or folder shown in the Save In box. The last two allow us to change our view of the files and folders that may appear in the middle of the dialog box. Earlier, we decided to save our lesson file to a floppy disk, so insert that disk into Drive A. Once done, click on the Save In drop-down arrow again. With the drop-down list open, click on the icon that represents your floppy drive. That icon and its description will appear in the Save In box. Suzanne has no subdirectories on her brand new floppy disk, so the File and Folders area is empty. Below the Files and Folders area is a box labeled File Name. Suzanne, click inside this box and then type Soccer Letter. When you finish, check the Save File Type box below the File Name box. This option allows you to save a document in a file format that can be read by another application such as WordPerfect or Word. Right now, Suzanne's box indicates that her document will be saved as a Works WP file. Viewers, if this file type doesn't appear in the box, open up this Options drop-down list and select that file type from the list provided. With that said, everyone press Enter or click on the Save button. When the Save As process is finished, the new file name will appear on the title bar. Since this file has been named and saved, all we have to do in the future is click on the Save icon to save our changes to disk.
Professor, what is that area above the Dear Parents line? Is it part of my document?
Because we are in the page layout view, Work shows us where a header, if we decide to create one, will be displayed. The page layout view closely resembles the final hard copy printed document. We haven't created a header for this letter, so nothing appears in the box, nor will anything appear in this area if we were to print the document at this time. Suzanne pulled down the View menu and select the Normal Screen View. It is the first option on the View menu. The normal view is the best view to work in when working with very large documents, because it takes less memory to display documents than page layout. Suzanne, press your up arrow twice. You'll notice that the header box no longer appears at the top of our document. In its place, we are given two letters. The H represents a placeholder for a document's header, and the F its footer. We'll learn how to enter and edit these items a little later in this lesson. Right now, let's learn how to manipulate document text by applying character and paragraph formatting. Okay, Suzanne, let's mold this text into an eye-pleasing letter. We'll start by blocking the three paragraphs that come after Dear Parent. We're going to indent this text using the ruler. Look at the far left side of the ruler. The point where the darker area meets the white area represents our left margin, which is the default setting of 1 1/4 inches. See those two little triangles? They allow us to set different types of indents. Click and drag the bottom triangle to the 1/2 inch mark on the ruler. Clicking on the bottom triangle selects both. When you release the mouse button, our blocked paragraphs realign on the 1/2 inch mark. We've just indented the three blocked paragraphs a 1/2 inch from the left margin. Notice that this new setting didn't affect text that wasn't blocked. Neither will it affect any text written in the future that is entered outside these three paragraphs. Some people call this a temporary margin. Now let's indent the first sentence in each of these paragraphs. To do that, click and drag the top triangle, which is called the first line indent marker, to the 3/4 inch mark and release your mouse button. There, the first line in each of our selected paragraphs are now indented another 1/4 inch from our regular indent. While the text is still blocked, let's change the line spacing to double spaced. To change line spacing, double-click on one of the bottom indent triangles. This opens the Paragraph Formats dialog box, which can also be accessed through the Format menu. A dialog box in any case appears with two tabs, Indents and Alignments, and Spacing. Click on Spacing. In the line spacing box, click on the up arrow until the number 2 appears. The paragraphs of our letter will now be double-spaced as the sample box demonstrates. Click OK to close the dialog box. Press your Page Up key to move the top of the document into view. Note that once again the formatting we just applied affects only the block text. The rest of the document is still at the default line spacing of 1. Now that we've done some paragraph formatting, we'll apply a few character formats to our text. Let's make the Recreation Center's name stand out from the text. Suzanne, block the Mountain View Recreation Center title that appears in the first paragraph. Now move the pointer up to the toolbar and click on the bold and italics buttons. The words Mountain View Recreation Center are now in boldface and are italicized. By clicking on the U button, the block text is underlined as well. Works has many character formats to choose from. The most frequently used commands are located on the toolbar. The rest are under the Format menu's Font and Style command dialog box.
Professor, what is the difference between paragraph and character formats?
Normally, character formats affect only a single word or a group of words, whereas paragraph formats such as margins, indents, and line spacing affect an entire paragraph. However, both can be applied to large pieces of text, even the entire document if you block that text and then apply the format. Okay, Suzanne, let's finish the body of our letter by adding the list of requirements. First, move the insertion marker to the end of the word follows in the third paragraph. Then press Enter to give us some open space before our requirements list. Now click on the Bullets button. It is the button on the toolbar with 3 vertical dots, each followed by a dash. A bullet now appears waiting for us to enter some text. We want the requirements to really stand out, so let's type them in all caps. Press your caps lock key to turn this option on. Back at the insertion point, type must be 12 or under. Press enter and type must have a parental permission slip. Notice that a new bullet is inserted each time the enter key is pressed while we are in this mode. Press enter again and type must have medical permission form signed by a doctor. Press enter one more time and then type must live in Madison County. Don't press your enter key after entering the last requirement. Suzanne, let's enter the bullet list. Block the bullet list by placing the insertion point immediately before the first must. Now click and drag the mouse until all of the text for the 4 requirements is selected. Now look at the first line indent marker on the ruler. It now appears before the indent marker, which is indented for the bullet list. This is called a hanging indent. Click on the lower triangle, Suzanne, and drag it to the right until the bottom marker is at 2 inches. That's a little too far to the right. Click and drag the bottom triangle back to the 1 3/4 inch mark. There, that centers the list. While we're formatting the list, click on the B button to boldface the list. When you finish, click on the Save button. Now that we've entered and formatted the body of our soccer letter, let's grab the reader's eye by inserting a graphic image called clip art. These images are ready-made art provided by Works or another source. Suzanne, press your page up key. Now move the insertion point to the left of the D in deer. Once done, pull down the Insert menu and select Clip Art. Before the clip art gallery opens, Works might ask if you wish to add clip art from other applications. Adding clip art to the gallery is a simple click and wait operation. Just follow the Windows instruction, then click on OK. If you don't want to wait, click on the Cancel button. Works will open a dialog box called the Clip Art Gallery. The gallery allows you to sort, file, rename, delete, or add clip art. On the left side of the dialog box is a category scroll window. Each category contains a set of related clip art images, which are shown in the Pictures window to the right. Some categories have more clip art than others. You may need to use the dialog box scroll bars to see all of them. To select one of these images, all you need to do is click on it. Suzanne, I think an image related to soccer would be appropriate for our letter. So let's see if we can find one. The Sports and Leisure category seems a likely place to find such an image, so click on that title. Now scroll through this gallery until you see a soccer ball. Then click on it. Viewers, if you can't find the soccer ball clip art image, feel free to select any other object that you see in the gallery. Any clip art image will do for this exercise. At the bottom of the gallery window, we are given a clip art name for the selected image plus its location on your hard drive. With the image selected, click on Insert. Works adds the clip art to your document in just a few seconds. Before we do anything else to this document, let's use Print Preview to see if we like the layout. Click on the Print Preview icon. It has a magnifying lens over a sheet of paper. The view changes to a full-page facsimile of our document. This screen view is similar to page layout. It shows us how the letter will look when it is printed. However, we can't edit the document in this view. To do that, we must be in either the normal or page layout screen view. Suzanne, we need to add more to this letter, so let's reduce the size of this graphic. Click on the Cancel button to put it back in the normal view. Now let's adjust the size of the clip art. Suzanne, click once on the clip art image, then pull down the Format menu and select the Picture command. This dialog box displays our clip art's dimensions and allows us to change them. The soccer ball image is about 2.5 inches wide and close to 2.5 inches high. This dialog box offers two ways to change dimensions. You can enter exact height and width measurements in the size area or enter a percentage of the original measurements in the scaling boxes. Let's do that to scale the graphic down. Suzanne, highlight the number in the width scaling box. Type 50 as the new percentage, then press your Tab key. The number appearing in the size width box represents 50% of the original image size. Makes sense, doesn't it? With the height box highlighted, enter 50 there. Then press Tab. The new height is just under 1 1/4 inch. Viewers, if you selected a different clip art image, enter 1.25 inches in the width and height size boxes. Click on the OK button to resize the soccer ball graphic. Looks good. It's still big enough to have some visual impact, yet small enough not to overwhelm the text. Suzanne, position the insertion point before the greeting again and press the Enter key twice to give us some extra room. With that done, place the insertion marker to the left of the clip art image. The insertion marker should be the same height as the image. If it isn't blinking on and off, you've selected the clip art. If this happens, click a little more to the left of the image. Suzanne, now let's create a logo to announce who is sending this letter. To create this logo, we'll use another Works graphic feature called Word Art. Pull down the Insert menu and click on the Word Art command. It's located beneath the Clip Art command. In the Word Art text box that appears on screen, type Mountain View. Press Enter and then type Recreation Center. Good. Now pull down the drop-down list on the far left where the words Plain Text appear. This drop-down list allows us to choose a text shape for our logo. You now see a grid containing 36 shapes arranged in 6 columns and 6 rows. Click on the box located at the second column from the right, 5th row from the top. The style box above should now read Inflate Top. Our logo has assumed this new shape, but it looks a little squashed. Let's expand the text to fill the entire text frame box. Suzanne, click on the Stretch button. It has a capital A with 4 very small arrows pointing away from the A. That's it. Now single-click the mouse anywhere outside of the Word Art text box. Your Word Art is finished.
Professor, the logo looks neat, but a bit too small. Can we resize it to match the soccer graphic?
Good idea, Suzanne. Your Word Art image should still be selected, but click on it anyway, just to be sure it's highlighted. You should see a box around the graphic area. Now move your cursor to the middle box that appears on the top line of this graphics box. The mouse pointer turns into a resizing arrow. Click and drag this arrow until the top line is level with the top of the soccer ball graphic. The mouse method obviously is quicker than using the Format menu. However, it isn't as precise. Suzanne, pull down the Format menu and select the Picture command. Let's leave the height as it is. Suzanne, type in 3.5 inches into the width size box. When you finish, click on the OK button. That looks better, doesn't it? Suzanne, click on the Word Art image. This launches the Word Art program so we can edit this image. Click on the boldface button. Once done, click outside the Word Art box to close the program. We're ready to tackle our next subject. Suzanne, let's add a slogan and the sender's address to our letter. The slogan will be our document's header and the address will be its footer. Footers and headers are used to insert information such as page numbers or addresses that will appear on every page of your document. Move your insertion point just right of the letter H that appears at the very top of our document page. You'll recall that the H is a placeholder for a header. Everyone type in the following phrase: "Your physical well-being is within view." Enclose the sentence within quotation marks. Click on the Print Preview button. Now move the magnifying glass over the top of the document. Then click your left mouse button twice. Well, we certainly do have a header here, but I think it would look better centered across the top of the document. We can't edit in this view, so click on the Cancel button. Now move the insertion marker to the beginning of the header text. To center this text, click on the Center Alignment button. That looks better. Now let's see how the page layout view displays the header. Pull down the View menu and select the Page Layout command. You'll notice that the footer placeholder no longer appears underneath the header. It is now located at the bottom of the document. Right now, let's make the header less intrusive. Highlight the header text and pull down the Font Size menu and select 10 points. Let's add the Rec Center's address, Suzanne. Pull down the View menu again. Near the bottom of the menu are two commands, Header and Footer. Select Footer. The bottom of the page automatically moves up. Works move this insertion marker into the footer text editing box for us. So type 25 Vista View, Bedrock, Colorado 80900. Once you have entered the address, move the insertion marker to the beginning of the text. Then click on the Center Alignment button. Now block the footer text and pull down the Font Size menu and select 10 points. Click on the Print Preview button to switch to that view. There's our footer. It does a nice job of balancing the page, plus it gives the reader the business address. It looks pretty good, Suzanne, so click on the Cancel button. We know the footer is okay, so let's go back to the normal view. Pull down the View menu and click on Normal. Once again, the header and footers are shown together at the top of the page. Our document's taking shape, so before we go much further, let's spell check our work. The spell checker begins checking at the insertion point. Make sure it is at the top of the document. Now click on the Spell Checker button. It has the letters ABC and a checkmark symbol on it. The spelling dialog box gives us many options in handling what the spell checker believes to be a misspelled word. Before correcting our document's misspellings, we should toggle off the Ignore Words in Uppercase option that appears within the Spelling Options area. By toggling this option off, we're telling the spell checker not to ignore the document's bullet list. The first word the spell checker doesn't find in its dictionary is our spelling of soccer. Although this spelling is incorrect, not all words selected by the spell checker are misspelled. The spell checker references the words in your document against the words in its dictionary. It contains many everyday words, but it doesn't contain many proper names, technical terms, or slang words. If you use a valid word which the dictionary does not recognize, you can add it to the spell checker's dictionary by clicking on the Add button. We can also click on the Ignore button to tell spell checker to ignore the word and continue its search. In this case, we want to change the misspelling of soccer with the correct spelling, which is suggested in the Change To box. Click on the Change button. Once spell checker replaces that word, it moves on to the next misspelling, which is the word complete. Click on the Change button to replace that misspelling with the proper spelling. Now the spell checker is telling us that director is misspelled, and in the suggestions box, it suggests either defector or detector. None of those suggestions are what we want, so let's edit the word in the Change To box. Highlight the first E in defector, then edit the text so it spells director. Once done, click on the Change button. Now the spell checker flashes a message on your screen saying, "Spell check is finished." Click on OK to close this box. One of the most common mistakes new users make is relying on the spell checker to proofread their documents. Don't you make the same mistake. Viewers, look at the second paragraph in our letter. We typed in the word "from," which is correctly spelled and in the spell checker's dictionary, so it didn't appear within the spelling box. However, the word "from" doesn't make sense in this sentence. The word "form" does. Correct that mistake, Suzanne, then click on the Save button. Now that our generic letter is complete, we can send it out to the parents in the recreation district. But it wouldn't look too neighborly if we didn't include their names. Let's remedy this by personalizing each letter, Suzanne. And to help us do that, we'll create a database that holds the names and addresses of our parents plus their children's names. Once the necessary information is entered into the database, we will merge this information into the letter we just created. Suzanne, please click on the Task Launcher button on the toolbar. It's the button with several layered documents on it immediately to the left of the disk icon. Now click on the Database button. A First-Time Help dialog box may appear. If it does, click on the To Create a Database button. Many of you may have heard the word database before, but perhaps weren't exactly sure what it was or how it could benefit you. Well, here's a quick overview. A works database is an organized assortment of information associated with a specific topic. Databases are organized in a relational structure, which looks like tables with rows and columns of data. An example would be a company's personnel records. Each column represents a field, a unit of information such as an employee's pay rate. Each row represents a record, which is all the collected information about one entity, in our example, one employee. Our database will contain the addresses and parental information for the prospective soccer players that reside within the Mountain View Recreation Center's membership area. In the box where it says Field 1, type Ms. Mr. with a period. Viewers, click on Add to create the first field in our database. Now the box says Field 2. Type first name and click on Add again, or press your Enter key. Where it says Field 3, type last name. Click on Add, and then click on Done. The main screen now shows a grid of 3 columns labeled Ms. Mr., first name, and last name. The rest of the database screen looks very similar to the word processing screen. The database toolbar has many of the same command buttons plus a few new icons that are limited to database operations. Suzanne, before we can enter each parent's complete record, we must add more fields to our database. To add a field, we must select an existing field. Click on the last name field header title. Now pull down the Record menu from the menu bar and select Insert Field and then select After. The Insert Field dialog box appears. Where the words Field 4 appear, type Street and click on Add or press your Enter key. Once that field is added to the database, type in the following fields one at a time: city, state, zip, child, and phone. Remember to click on the Add button after typing each field name. When you have added the phone field, click on Done. There, Suzanne, you have just created a database. Before we add records to this database, let's save our work to disk. Suzanne, pull down the File menu and click on the Save As command. Your floppy disk should still be showing in the Save In box. If it isn't, pull down the Drives window and select the appropriate drive letter. Now make sure the file name box is selected. Then type in Soccer Database as the file name. When you have that entered, click on the Save button to finish the Save As process. Right now, we are in the List view. Let's see how our fields look in the Form view. Click on the Form View button. It is just right of the List View button. In the Form view, we work with one record at a time. This layout is intended to resemble an invoice, statement, or 4x6 card. It can be customized to meet almost any business application. Within this view, we can enter new record data or look at existing record data. However, we can't apply any formats to the text while in this view. Suzanne, click on the Form Design button. It is to the right of the Form View button. This puts us in the Form Design view, which allows us to customize the form. Suzanne, while holding down the Control key, click on each field title. With the titles highlighted, click and drag the block to the center of the screen. As you drag the block line, the X and Y axis coordinates that appear on the far left side of the Text Edit formula bar change to indicate the block's location on this page. When you release the mouse button, the block text is dropped into a new location. Not only can we reposition the fields while in this view, we can also apply formats such as italics and changing the font size. Now click on the Form View button again. We can enter records in either the List view or the Form view. The List view illustrates the database structure better than the Form view, so let's move back to it. Click on the List View button. Okay, Suzanne, now that the fields are named, we can add the information needed for each client. Make sure you're in cell A1. This is the starting point for the first field of the first record. Type a capital M, a small r, then a period. As you type, notice that your typing appears in the edit line as well as in the cell. Press your Tab key, Suzanne. The Tab key enters the data, plus moves us to this record's next field. Now type in Jim in the first name field. Press Tab when you finish. You are now in the last name field. Type Smith and hit the Tab key. In the street field, type High Street with a capital H and S. Continue in this manner, inputting the following information into the appropriate cell. Denver, Colorado. Zip code 80000. Jim Smith's child's name is Billy. Jim's phone number is 333-0000. Press your Tab key after each entry. If you make a mistake, just click on the appropriate cell and type the correct information. Suzanne, you've just entered your first Works database record. You now have one record consisting of 9 fields or pieces of information. Let's enter another record. The second cell under the first field should be selected. In this cell, type Ms. Then tab to the next field and type Sarah. Tab again and type Jones. Tab once again and type Red Street. Tab again and type Wheat Ridge in the city field. Tab again and type Colorado into the state field. You'll notice that the last few letters in Wheat Ridge no longer appear in the database cell. That's due to the default cell width. It is shorter than the word. Nevertheless, the data is safely stored in the cell. All the letters in Wheat Ridge will appear on Sarah's merged letter. Tab and enter 80127 for the zip. Tab once more, then type Audrey, and then type 222-0000 for the phone number. Click on the Form View button. Back in the Form View, our first record in the database is displayed. All the information we entered in the List view appears here in the appropriate fields. On the left side of the bottom scroll bar, we are shown which record is displayed. The arrow buttons allow us to move to different records. Click on the right arrow, Suzanne. Now the form displays the second record. Click on it once more. Nothing appears in the field areas because we haven't entered a third record yet. Let's do that now. Select the first field if it isn't already selected and enter a capital M and a small r, then add a period. When you finish, press your down arrow key to move to the next field. Now complete this record by adding the rest of the data in the appropriate field. Mike Sullivan, Palm Street, Lakewood, Colorado, 80214. His child's name is Sean. Mike's phone number is 111-0000. After you finish typing Mike's phone number, press your down arrow or Tab key. You've just entered your third record. Let's see if it was entered into the List view. Click on the List View button. There is our third record. We can use either of these views to enter and edit database records. And now that we have a few records in our database, let's combine this information with our letter so we can send a personalized copy to each prospective parent. Now, Suzanne, we are ready to look at mail merges. Suzanne, the merge process, just like its name implies, merges two sets of information. The process is quite simple. You create a form letter that has all the standardized information on it, such as our letter to soccer parents. Then you create a database that contains the personal information for each person or organization that is to receive the mailing. Once these two files are created, you insert placeholders into the form letter. Each placeholder represents a database field. When Works performs a mail merge, it automatically inserts information from a database record into the appropriate placeholder. Each time the form letter is printed, the next record's data is inserted into the placeholders. Suzanne, we've already created a form letter and a database. We now need to insert placeholders into the form letter. Pull down the Windows menu. We can switch to another document by simply clicking on the file name or pressing the corresponding number in this menu. Click on the file name Soccer Letter. We're in the word processing screen again, and there is our soccer letter. Now let's insert the placeholders. First, we'll make some room between the graphics and the body of our text so we can insert the name and address between the salutations and the graphics. Move the insertion point to just below the logo and press the Enter key 4 times. Now press your up arrow key 3 times to position the cursor where the address heading will appear. Now pull down the Insert menu and select the Database Field command. A First-Time Help dialog box may appear. If it does, click on OK to reach the Insert Field dialog box. At the bottom, the word None appears in the database box. Click on the Use a Different Database button below the box. The list window now displays our database file. Double-click on the Soccer database title. Now, all we need to do is select the pieces or fields of information we want placed in our letter. Suzanne, we want all but the child and phone field in our letter. The Ms. Mr. field is already highlighted, so click on the Insert button. Suzanne, do you see the placeholder now on the page above the salutation? To insert another placeholder, all you need to do is highlight the desired placeholder within the dialog box and then click on the Insert button. You can also press your space bar or Enter key to insert the next placeholder. Select the first name field and then the last name field. Continue with street, city, state, and zip fields. When all the fields are selected, we will reposition the placeholders for proper format. When you finish inserting the fields, click on the Close button. Now place the insertion point between the last name and street placeholders. Press your Enter key. Then press your Delete key to delete the space before the street placeholder. Works automatically adds a space before and after a placeholder. Move the insertion point just after the city code, then type a comma. Before we finish, let's add another personal touch to this letter. Delete the word parent. Now highlight the first name placeholder. Once it is highlighted, click your right mouse button to access the Works shortcut menu. When the shortcut menu opens, click on the Copy command. Now move the insertion point right of the word Dear and just left of the comma. Open the shortcut menu again. Click on the Paste command. Our first name placeholder now appears in 2 locations. Having each potential customer addressed personally should give our letter a more neighborly feel. Before we finish, let's make one more modification. Go to the second paragraph and highlight the words Your Child. Now pull down the Insert menu, select Database field, and select the Child field and click on Insert and then Close. Now the name of the child will appear in the letter. With that done, click on the Save button again to save these new changes to disk. Let's use the Print Preview command to see how our letter looks with the merged names and addresses. Please click on the Print Preview button. A dialog box will appear asking us if we want to preview all the records in the database. Click on OK. and instantly we see the preview. In this full-page view, it's hard to read the name and address. Click your left mouse button to zoom into the document. Now we can see that the first letter is addressed to Jim Smith. Each placeholder now displays the corresponding information from the first record. Suzanne, scroll to the bottom of the preview page. It looks like the Recreation Director line is on another page. We need to modify the page so that line appears the rest of our text. Click on the Preview Views Close button. Now click right of the second paragraph marker under the group of address placeholders. Then press your Delete key twice. That should clear enough room so the Recreation Director's line appears on page 1. Click on the Preview button again. Click on OK. Now check the preview screen to see if Jenny Bryan's name and title appears at the bottom of page 1. It does. Now scroll the top of the page into view. Suzanne, click on the Next button. And here's a letter to Sarah Jones, the second record in our database. Click Next again, and there's the third record from our database. Suzanne, at this point you can click the Print button and send the merged letters to the printer. However, let's take a quick look at a few print options before we do that. Click on the Cancel button, Suzanne. Viewers, I'm going to assume that you have a printer already configured and connected to your system. If you don't, then sit back and observe as I show you where to select a printer driver and some of the more commonly used print options. Pull down the File menu and click on the Print command. The Print dialog box shows you the default printer at the top of the box. To select another printer, just click on the down arrow next to the name box. Beneath the print area of this dialog box is the print range area. Here you can choose what pages to print. To press the All Radio button to print all the pages of the document, or click on the Pages Radio button and indicate the specific pages you want to print. Make sure the All button is toggled on. Beneath the print range area is the What to Print area of the dialog box. Here we can tell the printer we are printing a main document or an envelope. We have only one choice here because no envelope files are open. Now let's check the Copies area. The default selection is 1. If we wanted more than one copy, we would use the arrows to make a selection. We can also direct the printer to collate copies. Finally, notice that the Print Merge box has been toggled on. Works sees the placeholders in the file and knows we have selected a database. All we need to do now is click on OK to merge the records into our soccer letter and send the merged documents to the printer. Do that now, Suzanne. Once again, we are asked if we want to print all the records. Click on OK. In a matter of moments, 3 separate form letters will be printed, each personalized to match its respective database record. Suzanne, you have learned how to use Microsoft Works to create a word processing document and a database, and you've combined them in a mail merge. Not a bad day's work. Good job, Suzanne. Thanks for being such a... 3 separate form letters will be printed, each personalized to match its respective database record. Suzanne, you have learned how to use Microsoft Works to create a word processing document and a database, and you've combined them in a mail merge. Not a bad day's work. Good job, Suzanne. Thanks for being such a good student, and remember, there's more you can learn from me, the Video Professor.